genuinely speaking, Mr. Beast might be my actual favorite psycho. You guys, this is a part two. It's a part one of a part two of a part two. It's part two, but it's technically just a part one. Where am I going with this? What I'm trying to say is I started off recording about that, but then I got distracted by situations to do with the local animals, dogs and cats and children, and my experiences with seeing them in distressing situations. So that's the previous video. And I decided to talk about this separately. So anyways, we're here. Hello, what is up, winning time? My absolute loves. I was talking about Mr. Beast because in another episode of me deciding to forfeit on sleep for the purposes of my own obsessions, I've been watching through Mr. Beast's videos, or I was watching through Mr. Beast's videos on Amazon Prime. And can I tell you something that I like about him? He's like the reality example of what I would do if I had loads of money and I wasn't in the kingdom of heaven. Because see, I would never, if I was to work for the devil, I could never foresee myself doing things that hurt children in particular, but anybody, or forcing people into non-consensual things. I just don't believe that's just not for me. I think because I've experienced it so much myself that outside of morality, I still wouldn't want to partake in it into any degree. Having said that, I do think I would find myself on some kind of psychopathic, sociopathic type of endeavor, right? Which is like what he does. And I feel like what he does is so revealing of humans. That's why I love to just watch it, because you got like real life people competing for money, the god of this world. And part of me feels depressed watching it, because I'm like, this is so sad that like as a society we're this desperate that people are willing to put themselves through all of these types of things just for the sake of money. I think is really sad. And I don't mean sad to the people, because that's how the world functions, but sad that like God created this world, created the garden, created everything for us to be able to live like without things like money, to literally live off the ground itself. He gave his people land. He always gave his people land, animals, crops, so that we wouldn't have to rely on anybody other than him and what he created to survive. So it's just a constant reminder. But anyway, that's part of it. That's sad, especially because like I kind of get the ick a little bit watching it, because when I see people like the last one that I watched, and I'm saving the one I'm really looking forward to for later when I get a chance, which is the one where Mr. Beast spends 50 hours in Antarctica, which I can't freaking wait for. You guys know I want to go to Antarctica so freaking bad. I want to go to Antarctica so freaking bad. And they have these cruises you can do, like this is the dream. They have these cruises you can do where like you go on excursions, but like out in Antarctica. And it's just so much fun. And they do things like ice fishing. Well, I don't know if they do ice fishing, but I really want to go ice fishing. That's like one of the number one things I want to learn how to do. Not important right now. Yeah, but he, I feel like he reminds me of like L. Ron Hubbard, and also just like a lot of these kind of insane people that we talk about. And also myself, in the sense of being obsessed with like observing humans and human behavior, because I feel like there's so much to learn. And as I've said to you guys before about the Bible, and how I believe the Bible is just a book that tells you about how humans act and have acted historically, like the predictability of us and how ignorant we are of our true nature as humans. And I said this in the previous video. I gave a whole bunch of examples of times I've seen animals or children being taken advantage of, or situations where something was going wrong and no one was stepping up. And yet if you ask everybody thinks they're a good person. Everybody thinks that if something was going wrong, they'd be the one to lend a hand, or they'd be the one to help. And from my observations, of which I gave a whole bunch in the previous video, and also just the reality is that's just clearly not the case. Because like I said, we live in a world where everything we need is here. Like when people are like praying to God, like, God, can you step in? And one of those things I've been thinking about the promised land as well with God is like, me just realizing the position he's actually in is that the only thing that limits him in our lives is actually us. When we go and choose somebody else or something else to depend on or to have control over us, because obviously with God we have freedom. He just gives us the terms and conditions, and it's literally just what's going to happen to you. Like with Adam and Eve, it's like, look, if you guys choose your own knowledge, your own human thinking, you're going to take yourselves down the wrong path. You have the freedom to do it, versus like the governments of today and all this. This is one of the reasons I feel so distressed about being born in a time like this, where everything is controlled, everything is surveillanced, you have no freedom. I hate this feeling that I have of being a human and not having freedom. I can't even talk to you guys freely because I've said things in my videos. Like I said before, I've had a video taken down. As soon as my channel catches traction, right, all of a sudden I'll have a video from like 6 months ago or 2 years ago. Community guidelines struck, which I know they check immediately anyways, because normally if I upload a video and said video, hello.
What do you reckon? 22, 23? Yeah.
There's just this dog sussing me out. Yeah, I've lost my trail of thought. I honestly love animals, which is completely ironic if you watch the previous video, because I was talking about this situation I got in last night with this dog who I thought might be being abused, and this cat has gone missing, and this other cat that I thought was being abused, who was like literally following me like a puppy. Anyway, in some ways we limit God because we are the ones who choose what we want to do, and then it backfires, right? So hence, fast forward. Oh yeah, I was saying about being under surveillance. I hate this feeling because I know with God I have freedom. I don't follow what God tells me because he's forcing me to. I follow what he tells me because I trust his judgment greater than my own. And he's true to his character. He's a man of character. I trust him. You know what I mean? With literally everything. So, I find it fascinating watching these shows and seeing like how enslaved we are. People like the one guy, he spent, 100 days. I watched 100 days in a circle, 100 days in like this white room. I watched a lot of them on Amazon. I'm going to watch all of them because you guys know I love an opportunity to observe humans. And like I said, when people get that understanding, they either use it for good or for bad. And God and the devil are perfect examples. God understands us as humans, so he's trying to teach us about ourselves constantly so that we so that we can humble ourselves and realize that, we're going to take ourselves down the wrong track naturally, like with the law of entropy, right? And the devil's like, haha, I know humans really well. I know all their pitfalls. I know all their weaknesses. That's why even witches and warlocks, right? Meanwhile, Christians are just happy to pray in the morning and listen to praise and worship in the car and go to Bible study and go to Sunday service and have small talk and be, whatever. You've got people in the kingdom of darkness who will have, if they're targeting somebody, and there's a real life story about this, a witch explained this. It's all in my playlist that's linked. Videos you need to watch. These are not videos by me. These are just videos I've watched that I feel like everybody should watch. And this witch was literally saying how, ex-witch, they would have 500 years worth of family history of people. And they would have this type of stuff because they're trying to catch people out. What they were trying to do is they're trying to prevent this group of Christians who had settled in their head to pray and fast for a significant amount of time. And they could see that a lot of things were going to happen for the sake of the kingdom of God if they were successful. Because that was a huge sacrifice that was being made. And not like a sacrifice like killing animals, but I mean like, us as humans being out of our flesh, really dedicating ourselves to the Lord. Like it's a big way of saying, God, I choose you, I choose your will. And so then the Lord could step in. And they saw that and they came in to destroy it, which again is ironic because when I'm watching these shows, one thing that sticks out to me is so many of the reasons people leave or so many of the reasons that people like struggle are just things that I just think are so fleshly. So for example, probably my favorite one was the one when they had in a forest, they split the forest in half and they had 5 women, and 5 men, right? You guys can all go watch this on Amazon Prime if you like, because it's really fascinating. 5 women and 5 men. I'm going to go sit on the swings while I record this. And pretty much they were never going to see each other except from every 10 days where they would have a challenge where one of them would meet with one of the others in this like central point, and they would have a challenge and there would be benefits to said challenges. Whichever team won would win 500,000, so basically 100,000 each. But the team that would win overall was whichever team could last the longest in the forest. They were given basic necessities, etc. And the other thing, and this is where Jimmy is just, this is why I got to give it to the guy, because, so I say he's my favorite psycho, because he really does things to like test. Because if I had, this is what I'm saying, if I had loads of money, this is the type of stuff I would do, because I'd be so fascinated. Like, I feel like he is, my morals wouldn't allow me to do it, because I don't want to encourage enslavement. And I don't want to be a part of it, you know. But if I wasn't for the kingdom of heaven, if I was to switch over to the dark side, I absolutely would do something like this. And so the gag is, somebody can leave. There only has to be one team member left. If, say that there's a situation where there's one woman and one man left, if they outstay the other, the entire team still gets to win. This is why it was my favorite, because I was like, this is going to be fascinating, because the differences between men and women are going to be immediately obvious. And I knew the women were going to win. The women won, okay? And I knew it. And again, because why? I was like, the men's flesh is going to get to them because they're more fleshly driven. You know, even biologically, men are built for like, you know, more explosive power, like heavier weight in smaller batches. Women, and we're built more for endurance, our literal physical muscles, like scientifically. So I had a feeling, because I was thinking, again, talking about going back to humanness, the food situation, if they didn't have somebody that knew how to hunt, somebody knew how to fish or whatever, that was going to be the one thing that might get them, right? And then just being in discomfort for an extended period of time, if they're not used to it, if they're not like part of it, if they were used to it, then the men would have the upper hand, in my opinion. But if it's just your regular degulars, you're pulling people off the road, the women are going to have the upper hand. Because again, also for us as women, they're going to be doing more of the like the touchy-feelies, the cuddling ups together, the girl, like there's going to be more of like, well, as long as I got my girls. Whereas there's more a chance for there to be disagreements with the men because of the ego, right? So this is what I'm thinking. I was thinking as soon as it started, I was like, oh, this is going to be so juicy. And lo and behold, I was correct. In the first episode, well, the first part of the video, on like the first couple days, the women decided not to eat the rations at all. And they decided they were going to strategically remove women out of the show to preserve whoever was going to be the final person to stay. Whereas the guys were like, oh, we're gonna the ladies, like, we're gonna easily beat them, a bunch of women. And I was just like, oh my gosh, guys, I was filled with that same feeling I get when I encounter men like this, where it's like, oh, I'm going to destroy you. Oh, this is over for you. Like, because you now want to laugh at me because I'm a woman. Mate, you don't know how this thing works. And you guys are the ones who are more slaves to your flesh. And this is what I'm talking about humans and us not understanding ourselves. So on the first day, the guys are all bragging. They're like, hey, we built a shelter. We bet the ladies haven't even got a shelter. But the gag is, not only had the ladies built a shelter, their shelter was way better. So there was one day where there was like a thunderstorm. The women were like inside this cozy looking thing. Meanwhile, the guys were struggling because they had, and literally they basically looked like they'd put a bunch of twigs together, which I was thinking, is this really the state of affairs here? Because I wanted the women to, and obviously because I'm a woman, I thought they would, because I felt like in test of endurance, we would be able to handle it more easily. And also things like not being able to eat, not being able to sleep, because men are more, you know, fleshly driven. So this all goes back to why I find observing humans and us all just taking in like the truth about ourselves. I make that very important. For the ladies, I was more concerned with things like how are they going to handle things like if there's like animals in the forest, not having maybe certain, because I think in general I was thinking the men will probably have more natural survival instincts. I was wrong, because it was so funny, because the way they decided to get rid of people is people had enough. So on day 13, this guy was like, oh, this is too much. I can't handle it. I'm going to have to go. And I was thinking, but the women, it was always strategic. It was always strategic. We have this amount of food. We think this will last for about, like the woman who won, Can I just say, she had so much extra food. The guy who lost to her, and he was all bragging, right? Because he'd gone spying. Well, he didn't like cross the pathway because they had a line they couldn't cross. If they crossed the line, they were out. But he went spying and he noticed that the women's team had less women sooner. So he goes back to his buddy and he's all like, ho, 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 guess what? The ladies, there's only one of them. We've got each other, but they didn't get along. Because in the first challenge that they had to do, one guy, one woman, which again, I did think the women were going to have this based on the type of task that it was, which might surprise you. But this in particular, right? They had a guy and this woman and this man from each team that they nominated who had to go and do this archery challenge. Long and short of it is, there's a target. It goes to your side of the camp. They'll alternate trying to shoot the target. Whoever shoots the target first gets perishable supplies for the group, right? Because all the other supplies they had were non-perishables, things that are canned and all that kind of thing. So I was like, okay. And all along, bearing in mind, I'm trying to give the guys a bit of like, maybe I'm just getting into it because I'm a woman and I just want to see the women win. But then I was actually right at the end of the day. He goes in and this guy comes, this dude, he's all doing backflips on the thing. He's like, I got this, man. I'm not even worried. And the lady comes in. She's like, I'm not going to lie. I'm a little bit scared. And I was like, this is exactly what I would expect. This guy's coming in. He's volunteered first. He's going out there, bold confidence. Hasn't really taken as much time to think about all the risks involved, potentially. And because you need a little bit of nerves is always a healthy thing. Overconfidence is never a good thing, right? This is why I'm so fearful of pride. I've told you guys this. So they go to do the challenge. And I was just losing respect for the men's team. Like, the guy goes first, right? Misses. And the woman goes second and she hits the target. She gets the food. She scuttles off. She's happy. And then there's this other guy, which to me is the epitome of what I couldn't class a loser. Oh, I know I should have stepped up. I should have never let him go when I saw the challenge. And he kept that same energy. And he was the one who lost. And you know why he lost? It was day 60, right? They were like, oh, the women are not going to last more than 2 weeks. It was day 60. The girlie, she's over there. She'd won a tent. She was in this comfortable tent. Even though their shelter was great, she had all this extra food. She was there for the long haul because they'd all agreed on day one or early on that they were all going to strategically which two women were going to stay for the longest. They were prioritizing keeping them fed, keeping them well looked after, and the rest of them were going to go off as, strategically throughout the competition to maximize whoever was left, right? Whereas the guys, by the way, were just burning through the food. Again, humans. What do I expect? In the Bible, Esau gives up his entire birthright to his brother Jacob, right? Which is why we now have the 12 tribes of Jacob. As I said in the other video, Leah, who became one of the mothers of the tribes of Israel, because obviously Jacob marries Rachel and Leah. This is why I say the Bible is just telling us about ourselves and about God and about the kingdom of darkness and what happens periodically when humans are entrusted with things. And that's why studying humans is so fascinating, because we're the only ones that are just so unpredictable. But then predictable at the same time, if that makes sense. And that's also scientific, that according to science, and again, looking at all the different dimensions of existence, the scientific ones, not my opinion, the only species that doesn't behave exactly as expected is humans. And our impact is affecting all dimensions. That's what scientists believe, right? I've talked about this in some of my science videos. Check out my fourth dimension playlist as well. Anyway, so Jacob, so Esau was supposed to marry Leah because he was the firstborn. That would have been his birthright. But then it ends up being Jacob because Esau gives up his entire birthright for a meal. Samson is dead, right? He ends up dying. He had the power to tear apart a lion with his bare hands because of Delilah, a prostitute, like a prostitute of your enemies. Oh, Jesus. So this is why I say everybody needs to anchor themselves in God. Okay? Everybody needs to anchor themselves in God, because otherwise we're screwed. And this is ironic because I'm sitting right next to a mosque and there's all these cars here, all these men here in the mosque. Anyways, really ironic. So this doesn't surprise me. It didn't surprise me they burnt through all the food. It didn't surprise me that the women had built a belt shelter, because I knew they would take longer to do it, maybe, but they would be more focused on making it something very durable that can endure, right? Whereas the guys would be like, oh, we'll just do this. This will be good enough. Like, this will do. You know what I mean? It's sheltering us a little bit. But then the guy who lost, right? The guy who lost, you know why he lost? And this is what was crazy to me as well. I was like, we don't learn, because he had on his team before he went out. So the guy who was all macho, oh yeah, I'll never win backflipping guy. he had the opportunity to see his family. And then because he saw his family, he had like 10 days left. And he was like, no, I can't do this anymore. After seeing my family, I just want to be with them. I'm like, bro, you're like a week. You're like 10 days, 5 days away from being able to bring home $500,000 to your family. And you can't ride it out. Like, you can't write, like, and this is what I'm saying to you guys all the time. I talk about that I'm actually quite happy that I survive not always being so hungry and eating food all the time, because food always becomes the forefront. It's the basic survival things. Even in like, and again, it's a biblical thing. What were the Moses people talking to God about constantly? Oh, we're sick of the manna from heaven. We want this. We want to go back to Egypt. We want everything done our way. It's the same old story. Esau selling up his birthright for a plate of food. Lord Jesus. You know what I'm saying? Even Samson's like, bro, you're Samson. I'm sure the ladies liked you. You really had to, like, you really couldn't overcome yourself and at least just pick a woman in your tribe, in your, like, you know, your people. But you fell, you told the secret of your power to a woman who you know is in your enemy's camp, who is a prostitute. Bro, get it together. Like, this is what I was thinking, yeah. I'm not gonna lie, I was watching this with the men. I was thinking, get it together, guys. Get it together. You know, so anyways, Mr. Macho Man Backflip then left. He left the last two because he was like, yeah, I'm writing this out to the end. That won't be me at the beginning. So won't be me. I won't be leaving. And I was just like, right, let's see about that. Because I'm like, look, if you're really locked in, I think if you're really locked in any type of competition, you have to just, because I know that you have to just make your decision immediately and you have to just stick with whatever decision you made. Again, obviously, we're in a world where people don't know how to commit to anything anymore. That's why the Bible calls us adulterous. And God told Hosea to marry a prostitute. Why? It's like, well, this is what it's like being in a relationship with you people. You know what I mean? You just run off wherever you want to go to. There's no commitment. There's no loyalty from you folks, right? So yeah, so this guy, he saw his wife, his kids, and he would think, and I would know, because I was thinking about this, how would I go about these things? I would opt, obviously, and again, I was thinking, I'm in such an advantage in the game of life that I don't have anybody that I'm living for. Like, I'm not living for anybody. I feel like anybody that I love is better off if I'm dead anyway. And I, like, those things, they wouldn't tempt me. And especially not like a little 10-minute phone call, a little couple hours. I want to stay locked in the game. I don't want to start remembering my emotions. This is game mode. I need to stay in game mode. I need to stay in savage mode. I don't want to be all frilling up my emotions. So then this guy felt his emotions because he saw his wife and he saw his kids. And then he left even despite being the one at like day one, being like, we're going to leave. I'm sure the girls haven't even built the shelter, by the way. And like I said, all the guys went out because they couldn't handle it. The ones who went out, including the last guy, because he left. You know why? His rations ran out. So they had a final challenge where there was basically Mr. Beast called them to the thing and he was like, hey, anyway, guys, here you go. Take the chocolate. Like, he gave them chocolate, right? Each of them like some Mr. Beast bars. And he was like, you could take them back to your camps. Now, the secret was in both of them, in one of the chocolate bars, there was a note that says, run back to like the meeting point because there's there's supplies of food. Now, at this point, the lady, she's got a whole, in her tent that she won, which the guy still didn't have this fancy tent thing because the women were just killing it. She had all this food. So food wasn't a big deal for her. And she screwed him as well because basically, before the last challenge, this is the second to last challenge, the chocolate one. I will tell you the last one because that's the one that got him, right? Second to last challenge, they have these supplies, right? And he's been saying into the camera the whole time, oh my gosh, I just need some food. I can't live like this. I'm not going to be able to do it. And then it would pan, and every time they'd pan to the ladies one, they'd always be playing like happy, cheerful music. It was so well edited. This was like, Jimmy, I got to give that guy his flowers, bro, because he's doing the damn thing and he's making it interesting. You know what I mean? I love watching humans and just, because like I said, in my previous video, I talked about it a lot, but I feel like us as humans, we love to believe versions of ourselves that don't actually exist. And that's why I trust in God, because I'm out here like, God, I want to do this. And heck, I might get there and I might not be able to do it. You know what I mean? I've been in situations that even the last few years, I'm like, oh, I actually thought, I get it now. So that's why I'm not really mad at God in any way about this whole delay of everything. I say delay, it's not delay, it's working in God's timing. Like for the promised land and stuff, because like, you know what? Maybe I'm not ready. Maybe all these things I'm praying for, the Lord's like, and it's true, because it's coming to the start of this year. I'm like, you know what? There's lessons I needed to learn that this time last year I didn't have. And if God had done all the things I was asking for this time last year, I probably would have ruined them. But yeah, so he's all crying to the camera. She's all sitting there with all this extra food. These are all the rations, right? They'd already had an extra bag of food from like the first challenge as well. And he's just there like, I've got about a couple days left of rations. I'm not going to be able to make it much more days, which again, I wouldn't even think like that. I feel like in life, it's not about thinking about how much long you have left. It's about every day just waking up and deciding you're staying. Like, that's how I live in my life. You know, the Bible says, do not be anxious for tomorrow. Like, today has enough things to like worry about, right? That's how I live my life. I just think I'm going to make sure I get through today. Like, if I get through today, I've done my part. That's why, even though you guys know I hate it here, this is exactly the reason I wouldn't take my life, because I'm like, every day, all I'm going to do is I'm going to try and just focus on getting through the day and getting through what God asked me to do today. I don't want to be here. I don't have to think about the thought that I'm 30 next year or that I might live to like 80, 90. I want to think about that because it's depressing. And that's going to make me think of doing something crazy, right? I'd rather think, okay, it's today. I just got to get through today. And then I feel relieved at the end of the day. Okay, and we just have to do that again. And that's it. And that's why God tells us, again, it's a very worldly thing because we have to plan everything because we're dependent on ourselves. We're not dependent on God. So we're always having to make sure that everything is organized, to pay for things like insurance, so that if something happens, when we don't just have, 20,000 to just shell out for something, right? Then it's covered. You know what I mean? We have a way of covering it. And it's, again, insurance is one of those things I honestly should get into. Like as insurance and again, loaning money. If I really wanted to screw people over and get rich the world's way, those are the things I would do. Those are the types of things. I'll work for the tax people. I'll go into insurance and I'll go into money lending. One of those, as I think Mr. Beast is genius, because everything he's doing, no one can really critique it. And even someone like me will be like, oh, he's giving people money. I'm like, yeah, because we're slaves to money. That should make us all embarrassed with ourselves. That should make us all embarrassed. But anyway, because like, how are we this much enslaved after God did all this for us to have freedoms, and this is where we're at, and now we want to be. But anyway, I still support it because he does do these things consensually. He's got, and people are getting money and whatnot and what have you. But again, even the guy who won the last Mr. Beast games, who ended up winning 10 million, half of that money went to the frigging tax. So every time these people are fighting over money or going out on 50K on a Mr. Beast video, I'm like, bro, do you know how much that you're going to pay in tax? I need to get enough money that at least after tax deductions, I'm still walking out with a good chunk of change, mate. And I need to, dig deeper. But anyway, so yeah, they get this challenge on the second to last day where they get the chocolate. They go back to their camps and they're eating it. He's like, I'm going to ration. I'm going to have 1 square of chocolate every day. It'll give me something to look forward to. And I immediately thought I would just eat it all then and there. Because you got plenty of stuff, give yourself a bit of a boost. She's got loads of food. So I was thinking if I was her, I'd just enjoy it then and there because it's a boost. She's done well. She's not like enslaved to food so much that like, yes, it's nice obviously to get like a bit of chocolate, but it's not that deep. Like it's not that deep. But again, it goes back to this being controlled by your flesh thing I'm talking about. So anyway, they leave the food. What they in those notes, it says, run back. They both have one in their chocolate bars. It says, run back to the meeting point. There's food there. Whoever gets there first gets it. So he's rationing his chocolate over a couple of days, whatever. Finally sees this note and he's like, oh my gosh, this is everything I've been asking for. And he like sprints from his thing to the thing and the food's gone. Then it's like 4 days earlier. Sis had got the supplies and sis didn't even need them. And you know why I was actually so impressed, yeah? Is that by the final challenge, well, there wasn't necessarily going to have to be the final challenge because they might stay. Again, it was last to leave, so they could have stayed there for however many days people could handle. And every time she would come to the thing, her hair was like perfectly tied up. She was looking bright. She was looking, because she knew her role. She was committed. She was honest about like, I miss having the girlies for hugs, even a high five, whatever. And this guy wasn't getting along with a lot of the guys anyways because the guy who went before him, Mr. Backflips, him and those two weren't getting on. They were always on the opposite sides of what they would have done or would do. So they weren't even really getting on, but he was just trying to convince himself, like what people do, like, oh, but we're better off. Like he was lying to himself. Like I watch adults doing this all the time and it's actually wild. He was lying to himself like, oh my gosh, but you know what? At least we got each other. I'm like, got each other? You guys aren't even cool. You guys are like at odds with each other constantly. And also, no matter of fact as well, while we're here, you had actual people that knew how to fish and do all these things in the earlier days. How in all this extra time you had and all this boredom, did you not get one of them to teach you some of these skills so you could have been catching your own food? Because some of the other guys at the very beginning were actually catching food. The women, they were foraging and stuff. And it was crazy because they were actually getting a lot of stuff. Right? So they have a final challenge. Mr. Beast gives them like both like these big, I don't know what you call them, like an easel, is it called? I don't know. But like a big thing with paper on it. And he's like, you can write down on there whatever you want and whatever you guys want. You can write anything at all. And if you both agree to both give each other what the other person's asking for, as in like Mr. Beast will get it, but they have to agree that they both have to agree that they're okay with Mr. Beast giving the other person their thing in order to get their thing if the other person does the same. So she's written on hers art supplies, and I was like, low key, love that. Like an activity. For me, I feel like in these things, I need a notebook or a Bible, and I'm good. Like the food thing, I fasted 18 days on only water, pretty much, other than some like electrolytes, whatever. That would be fine. Sleep, I don't really sleep anyway. Outdoors, I already like being outdoors. Bringing in something that's going to make me walk, that's a human being, extremely, almost virtually impossible for Mr. Beast to even figure out who that person might be. And actually, said person in question, I promise you would just say would actually just know that I wouldn't. And like leave. So there's nothing you could tempt me with. Like, this is what I'm saying. There's nothing in this world that can actually tempt me with anything. And this is, again, how people always fail in the Bible. What God's always trying to teach us is that we always fall to our own temptations, and then we pay the consequences, and then we end up more enslaved. Bro writes on his, he was like a private chef that comes with 2 meals a day and this for the rest of my time, right? Which is not unreasonable, because Mr. Beast has offered that in other shows, other games that I watched that he did. And so they ask him first, like, are you okay if she gets her prize? And he's like, yeah, of course. And he's like already tearful, thinking, yeah, he's about to hit the jackpot. He's staying the long haul. And she's like, and he was being kind of rude as well. He was like, don't you want to think about your son or whatever? She was like, I just don't think it's appropriate to bring up people's children's names at a time like this. You know what I mean? And whatever. She's been very gracious about it. I love her, honestly. I should go and see if she's got like a social media, to be honest. Anyway, and then she's like, they're like, so, Jimmy's like, so, are you okay with him getting his thing? And she's like, unfortunately, I'm going to have to say no. Next day he left because he was like, well, I only have 1 set of rations. Oh my gosh, loser. You had 1 day. You didn't think, maybe let me see if I can get another 10 days, because then that's when Jimmy's going to do another challenge. You didn't think, you know what, I'm going to like, shut up, boss up, stand up. I'm going to go and find food wherever. Because meanwhile, he's doing all this, right? Feeling sorry for himself. We're flying back to her. And she's like come out from the woods. She's got her whole entire shirt filled with blackberries, and she's like, I've got more blackberries than I'm even going to be able to eat for the entirety of the time that I'm here, with her little mountains of food, because she was in it for the long run. And I was just like, this is exactly what I expected. Like the whole entire show, and this is just one of many, I recommend you guys watch them because it just tells you a lot, where it worked out exactly as I expected. Like in the first half of the beginning, the women, the ones who were going to struggle, were going to go quicker. The men, the ones who were going to struggle, were going to convince themselves for about 2 weeks. The guy, when he left at 13 days, I was like, really? You didn't even want to at least say that you were there for 14 days? Because can I say something? The only thing more embarrassing about actually losing, because there's nothing embarrassing about losing or something, but sometimes it's the circumstances in which you lost. Because if the people that won stayed for 60 days, you were the first guy to leave. You left because you couldn't handle it on day 13. And meanwhile, the girls were leaving because of strategy. Obviously, they don't know that. That's crazy. And they also, both sides never knew how many people they had remaining, or unless they could somehow figure it out. And so that's losing. Like, I could embarrass myself and go and see my loved ones and be like, oh, I was like the first person out, and that's because I couldn't handle it. Is it because we had a strategy and I trusted in the girls and they had better survival skills? The heck, I'm getting out. If I got in in 5 days, and there's one woman there who's a survival expert, she does this for a living, she actually just lives in a cabin in the woods anyway, and I can give up stuff for her to like stay longer. I would stay long enough to like help her, make sure everybody's set up, whatever. But hey, if I'm the weakest link, I'll leave. I'll dip if it's going to be for the better of the team. So it's not about that, but it's just about why. And it just made me laugh that, and again, this is something that doesn't surprise me, that at the end of the day, a lot of the guys left, and it was actually due down to emotional reasons. Doesn't surprise me. And the women had a strategy. And when they were faced with things they were severely uncomfortable with for extended periods of time, they were more able to just rationalize getting through it, because that's what we do. We have a period, we have this hormonal cycle constantly. We spend 9 months pregnant. Like, we know what it's like to just have to get on with what you have to do with minimal understanding and support, despite going through something that is causing you severe discomfort. Because like, there's pain and there's discomfort. And like the discomfort of like having a child in your stomach and your feet swelling and this, having you not being able to sleep in a comfortable position, the baby kicking your bladder. Like, I can just imagine. As a woman, even now, as soon as my period's coming, I've got to be extra careful about what I eat, because I bloat more, and I may not have a period, but my back starts to ache, because obviously my womb is 3 times its normal size. So I get back pain just from my womb pushing against everything. I can feel it because my body isn't huge, the discomfort. I can't sleep properly. I get the hot sweats. You know, there's other symptoms I won't get into, but the ladies know. You know what I mean? Even me, who has had my period pains removed with the Lord, I still go through the discomfort, and I still just have to get on with my life. Like when I was going for a miscarriage, I'm still just going to work, mate. I was just still going to work. I was just still getting on with it because we're used to it. So that's why I wasn't surprised. And like I said, this is why I love to study people. This is why I say Jimmy, as in Mr. Beast. Yeah, he's my favorite psycho. He's my favorite psycho. At the moment, he's my favorite psycho because, yeah, he's doing the damn thing. And it's like, I don't know how people don't observe these things, observe all this stuff and watch these things and not walk away and then question our way of doing things as humans. That's something I don't get. How do you not see this stuff and then go, you know what? Us as humans, yeah, we're maybe not as intelligent or as capable or as whatever as we think we are. And maybe we need to humble ourselves. I don't know how that doesn't translate. I'll be honest, because when I see this stuff and when I see all these competitions, I think, wow, how sad is it going to be for me? Like, I don't want to be in a situation in my life where I'm so desperate for money. I mean, on Mr. Beast Games, the actual game show, because these are just his other videos he did outside of the Mr. Beast Games, you know, people, they literally sign their life away. Like if they die, and this is again where I'm just like, he toes the line for me. I wouldn't want to sign a contract for people where like they're signing to say that, hey, if they're pushed to the brink of like near death, that I'm not liable. I don't like that. That just doesn't sit right with me. Like a lot of things around these types of things, this is also why I think I find the world boring, you know, come to think of it. It's because it's just a lot of things I'm not prepared to do because they just don't sit right with me. And it's also sad that we just, in the end of all of this, right, this is what's so fascinating about watching all of this. I mean, the last one that I watched was when he stayed in like a white room for 7 days and he started to go crazy. And he started to just do anything. And I was thinking, yeah, because as humans, especially somebody like him, you can tell, obviously he started off his channel, was actually a channel about Jesus, funnily enough. And he started talking about God. And it's funny because during this video, he said something like, is this what we're going to see when we die? Because if I could ask Mr. Beast any question, I would actually ask him about what he thinks is going to happen when he dies. Because having been Christian before, I'm so curious. Because I bet you it's one of those things he avoids thinking about like most people. I can talk about death because A, I'm not trying to put it upon myself. B, if the world or anything tries to come against me, the Lord will protect me. Jesus defeated death, so it's no longer my portion. I know where I'm going, so it's not a big deal. It's not like a taboo topic. It's not like people act like talking about death is like this like non-politically correct thing. I'm like, the only reason it's such a deep thing is if, like, don't get me wrong, obviously we all go through the pain of losing people, but then it's like how I say about my grandparents. I'm sad. I wanted to spend more time with them as I got older, but obviously everyone was telling me how much I need to get an education. I would have sacrificed that because I'm thinking when I finish studying, I'll be able to do that when I can finally afford to do more things, because that's what I was being pushed to do. People be like, you should love your loved ones while they're here. And it's like, yeah, well, all anybody had to say to me was about getting a degree. So anyway, and my grandma died. One of my grandmas died when I was in my second year of uni. On the one hand, obviously, I'm sad to see them go. And I really do miss them so much. On the other hand, I feel happy for them. I feel like they did their part. And if they get to be with the Lord in paradise, I'm glad they don't get to see so much of the stuff that's happening here. Like, I don't get this whole idea of thinking that, you know, being humans and existing is so much fun and like, oh my gosh, why does God take people? It's like, thank God. What do you mean, why does he take them? They're better off over there. You want them to be here. There's so many things that have happened since all my grandparents passed away that I'm just so grateful because they all did so many things. I'm so grateful that they don't have to see some of this stuff. I'm so grateful they don't have to see the degeneracy of 2026, the dysfunction, the destruction. I'm so grateful for them because they saw their own things and they went through their own stuff. They went through their own times. You know, they did their time. So I hope that they're resting, chilling, enjoying their time with the Lord and, you know, having done their part in all of this. You know what I mean? And that's why I did finish my degree anyways. It was always for my grandma anyway, since she was, you know, my mum's parents were both teachers. My mum even lived on a school for a while. And I knew that my grandma, being her oldest grandchild, it would just mean the world to her if I got a degree. So if not for her, when she died, oh, wow, the way I nearly left you, I used to sit in the library with the mouse, just circling the withdraw button. And in the end, I decided I would just do it for her sake, you know, in her memory. But yeah, so it's so funny to just see how people think about things in this world and how unaware we are of ourselves. So I'm saying we're literally like children. And that's why I just don't get this adult thing of all this pride in the room, because bearing like everything that I've said, guys, and I hope that this actually comes across. Okay. I know I basically fired a lot of shots in the male department. which I feel like is fair game because I've mostly say positive things. And also I'm just telling you what happened. I'm just telling you what happened. But I honestly think the reason why I do this, the reason why I call us all out, myself included, you guys know I cancel myself, I tell you guys about the dumb things I did, the dumb this, it's because that's what's actually going to help us all to grow, being aware of our nature, being aware of the risks of me being a woman, being aware of the risks of me being young, aware of the risks of me being human. You know what I'm saying? So that I can walk with more wisdom in life, rather than in delusion that is anchored in pride, which is again what we saw. You know, and this is why I pointed out about the male team versus the women's team, is that they just have a greater disposition on that end, which is why I also think they have a greater disposition to be quite emotional despite not seeing themselves that way. But in my opinion, they are very emotional. You know, and I don't mean that in a bad way at all, because emotions are an important thing. Emotions are part of being a human, you know, but it's about what we do with them and how we deal with it. You know, that's important. And being aware of our strengths and weaknesses. That's why I keep talking about men and women separately, because I think this whole thing of us just all acting as if gender and whatnot is just like not that big of a thing. I just think that couldn't be further from the truth. Like, we are just really very different. And a lot of our problems would be solved. I've said this, I talk about this in my book, The End of the Beginning. How a lot of our problems would be solved, which instead of us villainizing each other or pointing the fingers at the other side or judging, you know, whatever behaviors of the other people, that we try to understand each other more and like be understanding and just accept the observable, objective truths rather than thinking, oh, I need to change this about this person. It's like, how does this person's characteristics and, you know, everything, how do we best work together as a team? You know what I mean? Rather than, oh, I want to point the finger over there, oh, this is so annoying. It's like, well, yeah, listen, I find everybody annoying anyway, so this is fair game. Like I said, I'm an equal opportunity finding everybody annoying. I'm an equal opportunity racist. I'm an equal opportunity. I hate all political parties, for that matter, while we're here. I'm not on anybody's side, because I feel like it's all just very divisive. And again, that's what the Bible tells us. The Bible shows that the devil always disables us and dismantles our progress by putting us against each other in some kind of a way. The most powerful one being men and women being against each other. But, you know, it could be your same people, the same tribe, the same whatever. Like now we have all these political views, you know, left wing and right wing. And then it ends up becoming more about the division. This is how I feel like the world is now. It ends up becoming more about the division. Because that was what was ironic as well watching this. Is that the men were the ones always talking about, I wonder what the women do. I wonder what the women. It was like, and the ladies were just having a time. They were picking strawberries. They were just having a time. Which just kind of made me laugh as well. You know, and again, go and watch it for yourself. Go and watch it for yourself if you don't believe. I like to use these types of things as examples of the things that I say to you guys, because then I can't be accused of this is just my thoughts. And like I said, I gave examples of my issues with humans in general in my previous video, the kind of part one of this. It's like, and then we have the audacity at the end of the day that when everything's gone wrong, when we've gone and made our own choices, when we've been completely ignorant of ourselves, of the world around us, of the powers at play, to then go and stick it on God as if like to be like, well, God, why have you not done this? Or why are you not doing this? We pray within our own will. God, I need this. I need you to do this. And it's like the thing I told you guys, the thing that really rubbed me the wrong way this time last year, right? Especially with this whole Bible study thing, was people asking for prayer or help so they could pay for, so they could they're praying to get a loan to go to university. And I was just like, what? The same Christians where the Bible tells us that we should never lend people money. One of the guys in one of these videos, they had a cop and an ex-criminal, and they both had to stay in jail for 100 days. And if they stayed the entire time, they both split 500,000, right? And the guy who I was in prison, he defrauded people of like about that amount of money. So that's why he went to prison. It's like these things, they don't lend well in our lives. We build a credit score. Like a credit score is something I could not care less about, by the way. We build a credit score For what? So that we can go and buy a house, and we can go and do this, and we can go and do that. Like, it's just... And then what are you going to do? What are we going to do if the money's value just changes overnight? If I was God, yeah, and I was going to do a big boss move, I would just make money somehow, however he could do it. I'd make money meaningless overnight. That would really show everybody's real. That would really bring the real reality. And this is why I talk about this stuff, you guys, because what I'm worried about more than anything is not even the evil or whatever. It's that, what is everybody actually going to become? What are we actually going to see of people the day that, some kind of disaster strikes? That's what I'm worried about. Because most people don't know who they would really be under a lot of circumstances. They have the idea of what they think. Oh, I would take a bullet for so-and-so. I would do this. But as I stated in my previous video, I gave real life examples of things that actually happened that I was there for, of times when people didn't intervene. And I'm like, why am I the only one ever intervening on things? On like just your average, regular day things. Whenever you ask somebody, they think that they're the person that's going to step forward. I'm genuinely worried. Like, this is one of the reasons why I don't want to be here, because I'm just like, God, if disaster strikes, first of all, I know there's going to be a lot of work, because I'm one of few people in the world who actually does things and keeps a level head in the middle of disaster. And second of all, everybody's true nature is going to show, and it's going to be chaos. And we already see that now on social media. The more we've had the internet, the more people can hide away. We had lockdown, people could be private, right? No one can see who you are. You're just user 37589, right? And you got a Pokemon as your display picture, or you got a freaking flower. So everybody's so comfortable to say everything they want to say on the internet. But if everything everybody had to say on the internet, they had to say to the person's face, what about that? We've become a world where people are so comfortable to show their real selves. That's why people show their real selves now, because they can do it in hiding. They would never do it in person. This is why I think I don't like to have conversations with people or be around humans in general, myself included, because it's all just going to be whatever you want the world to see, whatever you want to believe of yourself, whatever you want. Like I used in my previous video, the dating app analogy, you get to make your profile of what you want to be seen as. So I hate social media, because now people can just come online, go on my Instagram, and they think they know who I am now. And it's just, anyways, guys, I'm going to wrap that up there because my phone's about to die because it's cold. Anyways, check out the part before. But yeah, I've got to get on with my day. My phone's about to die, so I really need to get to that. But yeah, if life's a game, it's pay to win. God bless you. God loves you. I love you. And guys, I promise you, all this stuff I'm saying, genuinely, it's because I'm like, we just need to all humble ourselves. I'm just as guilty as the next person. I'm just as bad as everybody else. We're all just as bad. And the sooner we all just accept that and we allow the Lord to do the work, the better. Because listen, crazy things are going to happen at some point. We need to be prepared. And our lack of understanding, our lack of unity is something that the devil has worked very hard to get us to. And why? Because he understands humans. And God says a lot of things that we don't agree with and don't understand. You know why? Because he understands humans and we don't. Anyways, guys, I hope you took this in the right way. Life's a game. I'll see you guys in the next one.